Hey, good afternoon, everybody out there. This is Duran. Got one off the cuff. What are we looking at today? It's August 26th, 2026. It's been a long time since I did one of these, so bear with me if I tend to ramble. That's what off cuff's all about. I don't have a script here. Eyes are focused on the road. And you! Anyways, I had a thought last night, and once again, it was the typical having a conversation with somebody about something meaningful. And, I thanked them for listening because it helped me to sort out my own thoughts to see if there was boundaries and patterns and, something logical and sensible to what it was I was describing. Basically, just looking for a thread of coherence, pretty much. And they agreed that there was. So let me just talk to you about that. Before I begin, I just want to say yesterday was the day, roughly 24 hours ago, they announced the passing of country music singer and celebrity Miss Dolly Parton. The president actually called for a, holding the flag at half mast in remembrance of her. And I believe that there were some other governors of states that chose to do the same. Very notable life, 80 years. If you don't know her besides, her upper half, you would know that the thing that sticks out most recently in the memory of the public is a little slice of her philanthropy. She had a book program, and I suppose through that program in public schools, it allowed millions of children to participate in efforts to learn how to read. So obviously that's remarkable, notable, a good living legacy to applaud and support. Aside from that, there's some other aspects of her life that are a little more obscure. I don't sit in any type of judgment. I just, speak of the facts and the details that are readily available for anyone that wants to do a little research. They can stumble upon. We're in the bunny ears, but talking about, being a Christian, the outfits, but that was a part of her, her performer persona, I suppose. I'm not going to talk about that a whole lot. What I want to talk about is here we are, the latter days of August. And I believe it is tomorrow. There will be a lunar eclipse that will be largely visible throughout most of North America here in the U.S. And coinciding with Miss Dolly Parton's passing, we're getting ready to cross over into what is commonly known as hurricane season. So the first named hurricane of the season is, guess it, Dolly. Interesting, huh? So we've got a hurricane named after her. We got a lunar eclipse coming up. And next month, also going to be a big month because we're going to be crossing the 25-year mark since that dreadful day in American history on the 11th of September. So lots of notable things occurring here. Interesting timestamps on the events calendar through, these recent highly concentrated, busy, fast moving days and times we've been living through. I just want to frame what I was getting ready to speak about, just to think, going back to the beginning of the summer, there was lots of high emotions, celebratory types of moments and energy throughout the city of New York, because there was the New York Knicks, who took on the San Antonio Spurs. And as I'm speaking about it, it's coming back to me. One of the things about that was that it was a matchup that had actually occurred earlier in recent history. I want to say it was 1999-ish. The same NBA Finals matchup, and maybe the first time that a coach and his son kind of intertwined in the story of this. Why? It was talking about Brunson. There was a coach Brunson and there was a player named Brunson, both associated with New York. And the first time that San Antonio faced the Knicks, back in the early 2000s, or 99-ish, I was saying, New York was defeated because there were two superstar players at that time from the San Antonio team, and that was Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So they went on to win the championship in that particular year. Two superstar tall men, power forwards, centers, I believe, in a way symbolic of those towers that went down in NYC. And those two guys defeated the team of Brunson in New York prior to that tragic event. Now, this year, it was the same matchup, but it was the son of that Brunson player. So the earlier Brunson became the coach, the son became the player, the superstar of the team for New York. And San Antonio had a superstar player, Wembley. And I think they called him like players got nicknames and stuff. They called him the alien of all things. Maybe there's some truth there. You never know. I'm not doing, 23andMe and no swabs or anything like that. Just saying. Anyhow, it was kind of a tussle back and forth series. Wu-Tang Clan played the halftime show of one of those games. Mr. Trump was in attendance of one of those games, and he got booed out of the arena, but they managed to pipe in, different like arena sounds, so it kind of drowned that out. But in the end, New York became triumphant. They won the series, they won the championship. They had the ticker tape celebration through the streets of New York. And it almost was like that was the moment that kind of kicked off a hot summer of energy, euphoria, celebration, and things of that sort. Jay-Z, I guess, kind of came out of retirement, cut off that long torso fro that he had going on. And, he had a concert, called back some of his celeb friends, and they all performed in New York. They had that Alicia Keys song, now we're in New York, that whole thing. So, she performed there. And again, you've just got this celebratory type of energy because the Knicks won the championship. You've got, Wu-Tang Clan coming out, performing in Madison Square Garden. And it just feels like they're on top of the world. They can't do no better. They're just celebrating these great moments. So it's interesting to think about that because here we are now on the night before an eclipse, but here we are also about to eclipse 25 years since that tragedy occurred in the streets of New York. So, why am I talking about this? It's because if there's anything that I've noticed about how the powers that be, um, leave their fingerprints on, you know, society and such, it's the duality. It's the hot and cold. It's the up and down. It's the black and white. And, that's kind of how they do their thing. So what's obvious to me is that I'm going to pause this video. All right, sorry about that interruption. So what I was saying is that here we are, nearly 25 years removed from that great incident. And, New York has been celebrating all of these highs. And obviously, 25 years ago, there was a great low that the city reached. Another thing that I think is worth noting, is as significant, is that when this, great American tragedy occurred, there was a mayor in office by the name of Giuliani. And, based on who he was and the way that he handled that whole situation, they kind of playfully called him America's mayor, because of his toughness, because of his spirit, because of the resolve, the showmanship that he displayed during what occurred, kind of stuck into the minds of people. Now here we are with a different mayor. And this mayor, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. No disrespect. It's just, I haven't studied it enough to practice it, to say it properly. Madami, I believe. Forgive me. Okay. This gentleman, again, no disrespect, has the appearance of what the bad guys looked like during Giuliani's time in office. In other words, when Giuliani was in office, the planes went and did their thing, and, Bush was coming into power, Bush Jr. that is, and what he was saying was the bad guys are over there, and they were the hijackers, and they look like, and we got their passports that flew out of the planes when they hit the towers, and they look like those folks over there. So we're going to go over to the deserts halfway around the world over there to take care of those bad guys, the bad hombres, right? So here we are 25 years removed. We have a different mayor that's in office, and he kind of looks like he has the religious background of those over there. Again, no disrespect. We're just painting a stereotypical picture of how they are portraying this theater, this political theater, this global theater of how all of our events get intertwined into a much larger story and greater agenda. So we're looking at this situation, and I see these duality pillars of significance. Giuliani, now we got Mahandi, I'm sorry. And he looks like he represents the culture of those that are Americans, but their point of origin is like from over there. And now here we are currently involved in, conflict, military conflict, sanctions, economical conflict with those in Iran. So if there were ever to be a disaster that occurred in the streets of New York, again, God forbid, they've already painted their bad guy. They've already said it's got to be the ones we've already sworn as enemies, and we've got to take care of them, because now we've already brought the is to the real soldiers regime into the fold of the United States, right? Interesting developments. I wish that I had more time to continue on to this, but I've already hit 15 minutes and I've got to go into work. Also finish this Pellegrino. It's very tasty, refreshing, bubbly. Drink one. No, I'm just kidding. No promotional. But thanks for listening. I hope to do this again. Maybe I'll attach something else to this to finalize the thought, but that's just what I wanted to put out there for now. God bless. This is Ron off the cuff. Peace.